Hey, what's going on? It's Kyle Henderson of BamaInsider.com coming to you from Tuscaloosa, Alabama. No spring football this week, but we still are going to roll out our spring football previews right here on BamaInsider.com. Today, we're talking about the quarterbacks and how we're going to do this video feature. I've previewed the quarterbacks enough. You know who's coming back. You know that Mac Jones is returning. You know that incoming five-star Bryce Young was on campus. Obviously, he's not on campus anymore because he can't be because students had to leave because of the coronavirus, right? And you have Taulia Tagovailoa, who's now a sophomore at Alabama. You also have Paul Tyson in the mix. I've talked about these quarterbacks. You can research some of my videos on YouTube regarding the Alabama quarterbacks. Today, I'm going to preview the quarterbacks in this fashion. I'm going to ask 3 questions, and I want your feedback in the comment box. I'm going to ask 3 big questions for each position going into the spring season. And I hope that we get back to football practice at some point. Right now, things are just postponed. They're not canceled, as I continue to say. And we lead off the 3 big questions for the quarterbacks with my first question. And this is, can Mac Jones win big games at Alabama? I think when we look at Mac Jones, there's a group of people that are Alabama Crimson Tide football fans that feel that, yes, Mac Jones is the guy that people want at quarterback, right? I think that there's a group of people that feel confident in his abilities as a quarterback. I think when you look at the overall picture and you see that Mac Jones played in 11 games last season, started against Arkansas, started against Western Carolina, started against Auburn, started against Michigan, you understand that he played a significant role in the season last year. Now, towards the end of the season, obviously, he emerged as a starter, and he even said that it's his team. And that was right before the Citrus Bowl against Michigan. And I think that group of people feel very confident in his abilities because I think those people are able to appreciate what he did not only against Arkansas, but against Auburn and Michigan. I mean, the Auburn defense was ferocious. I'm not sure Alabama beats Auburn with Tua Tagovailoa at quarterback. I think there's a better shot, obviously, but Auburn's defense, they have Alabama's number, right? And did this game just come down to Mac Jones? I'm in that group that feels confident in Mac Jones' ability. We've talked about it again and again. I mean, yeah, you had 2 pick sixes. One, I don't like the call, throwing it to Najee on the goal line. The other one was on him, and it cost Alabama. But there was other factors that cost Alabama in that particular game. Missing the field goal. The last play of the game where Gus Malzahn did a good job, swapping out the wide receiver for the punter. I mean, that was great coaching. I think those people that do like Mac Jones still feel confident because of how he played against Michigan. 16 of 25, 327 yards, 3 touchdowns, and we didn't even hear anybody talk about Mac Jones after the game. It was all about Tua Tagovailoa. It was about which players are staying, which players are coming back. I get it. Mac Jones wasn't ready for the limelight in terms of the media perspective per se, but that shouldn't wash away what he did against Michigan. I thought he played fabulous. That touchdown that he threw to Jerry Jeudy was right on the money. I mean, that's an NFL-type throw. Jerry Jeudy's obviously an NFL-type receiver. Mac Jones being able to distribute the football. I think we saw a lot of growth from Mac Jones towards the later part of the season. So I fall into that group that I believe Mac Jones is the right quarterback for the job going into the 2020 season. Now, there's another group of people who do not feel that he's the guy, and they feel that Bryce Young, not even Taulia Tagovailoa, they feel that Bryce Young is the guy that is going to come in to Alabama, and he's the guy that they want to start. And I get that. I mean, people want to see this 5-star in action. I want to see this 5-star in action. I mean, everything we've seen from the high school level has been fantastic. I mean, watching him play at Mater Dei High School was phenomenal. I mean, he threw for over 4,500 yards. The kid, no doubt, can ball out. I'm just looking at it from an overall perspective. I mean, here you have Mac Jones, who played in 11 games last season, has a ton of experience. Nick Saban is a loyal guy. But there's this group of people that all they can think about is that 2 interception performance against Auburn. They cannot move past that game against Auburn. I'm talking with fans on BamaInsider.com, and I asked them, who would you rather want at quarterback between Jalen Hurts and Mac Jones? Right? I think there's a lot of people who would probably prefer Jalen Hurts over Mac Jones. I get it. I might fall into that category as well. But someone said this. They were like, well, Mac Jones, until he can win a big game, he didn't beat Auburn. Well, Jalen Hurts lost at Auburn as well. So let's not put it all on one particular game is my point. I think Bryce Young certainly has the ability and the overall makeup to be Alabama's quarterback in the future, without a doubt. I think, I mean, who's to say that during the season, if Mac Jones isn't as good as I feel he's going to be, that Nick Saban makes a switch? It's almost like going back to the 2017 season when Nick Saban had Jalen Hurts and Tua Tagovailoa, right? Jalen Hurts was the guy that had been winning games. He was the guy that a lot of people were excited about. He was the guy who the team believed in. But you had Tua Tagovailoa, a 5-star sitting on the bench. And when push came to shove, Nick Saban had to make that call to switch out the quarterback. And we'll be curious to see if Mac Jones does run into any problems this season, if Nick Saban is quicker to make the call to put Bryce Young at quarterback. All right, my next biggest question going into the 2020 season, and you can read more about the quarterbacks on BamaInsider.com. My next question is this. Will Bryce Young emerge as the eventual starter at Alabama? Now, does that mean emerge as the starting quarterback this coming season? Or does it mean emerge eventually as in the 2021 season? Well, to me, it means this season. And it gets back to what I just ended my Mac Jones point about. If Mac Jones is struggling, will Nick Saban go to Bryce Young on the bench? Because I think this year, to open the season, Alabama has USC at a neutral site in Dallas. And then in week 3, Alabama plays Georgia. Alabama, when you look at Alabama's football schedule, it's a lot tougher than last season. Last season, come on. Last season was boring. I didn't like it. I know you didn't like it. So Alabama in week 1 has USC. I think Alabama probably still be, 14, 17-point favorite over them. Georgia State, going to blow out Georgia State at Bryant-Denny Stadium. Week 3, Kirby Smart coming to town. Georgia's loaded. Georgia's going to be fantastic. And that will be a test if Mac Jones can beat a Kirby Smart defense. Georgia's defense pretty much returns everybody, right? Am I wrong on that? I think they return everybody. That's going to be a tough game. And if he can't get it done in that game, people are going to start to be like, well, can the freshman get it done? Because Alabama also plays at Ole Miss, who's going to be led by Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin can coach. Ole Miss has beat Alabama before, recently. Alabama then travels to Arkansas. Alabama plays Mississippi State. Mike Leach, I know he's quirky. I know a lot of people like to laugh at his sound bites, but the guy can coach football, right? And if you don't pay attention, his offense will score points on you. And everybody knows Alabama has to tighten up on defense. October 24th, Alabama travels to Tennessee. Yeah, Alabama has had the upper hand on the Vols, but Jeremy Pruitt is a former product of the Alabama Nick Saban coaching tree. They got a good staff at Tennessee. I don't think Tennessee is going to be better than Alabama by any means, but going to Knoxville, who's to say? That's just another tough matchup. That's what I'm saying. The schedule is a lot more difficult this season for Alabama. So my point is Nick Saban has to see production and strong production from Mac Jones to stay confident in his abilities going forward. All right, my third question is this. People might not like to talk about this, but I'm going to bring it up. Will Taulia Tagovailoa transfer if he is beaten out by Bryce Young? People don't want to talk about that. People will just say, well, these guys are going to wait their turn. No, they're not going to wait their turn. The NCAA transfer portal has created free agency in college football. Everybody knows it. You know it. I know it. It's what it is. And if we go back to when Tua Tagovailoa wasn't playing, I mean, he said it himself. He was close to transferring. And I think if Taulia Tagovailoa is going to ride the pine and be behind a freshman, I don't think that's going to sit well with his father. I don't think that's going to sit well with Taulia. These guys want to play. They want to prove that they can lead the team. And if he is not the guy, my question to you is this: will he transfer if he is the number 3 quarterback going into the fall? I would have to say yes. And I'd be hard pressed if you don't feel the same way. Because I think, like I just said, these guys are coming to play. And there's only one quarterback that can be on the field at one time. I know Alabama tried to have Tua and Jalen on the field at the same time. I think it was on that Tennessee game a couple years ago. That was ridiculous. So that's my third question. Will Taulia Tagovailoa transfer if beaten out by Bryce Young? All right. You guys know the quarterbacks on the roster. I've already talked about the quarterbacks enough. You guys are intelligent. You know who's coming back. You know how many yards they threw for. But those are my 3 big questions going into the 2020 season. Number 1, to recap, can Mac Jones win big games at Alabama? Number 2, will Bryce Young emerge as the eventual starter at Alabama should Mac Jones not be getting the job done? And my number 3 question is, will Taulia Tagovailoa transfer if he is number 3 on the depth chart entering the fall? Well, I appreciate you guys watching, listening, liking, and subscribing. I'll catch you guys back at BamaInsider.com. Be good people out there. Take care of each other. Until next time, my friends. Kyle Henderson, BamaInsider.com.